Now we're going to read a passage called Truma. And if I look a little nervous, that's because normally when I'm reading from the Torah, most people don't really know if I make a mistake. Now, let's be honest. Most people, if I make a mistake, they're not going to know what the Torah is. Except for this guy right here. And he's sitting right up in front. So if I make a mistake, he'll probably know. So we're going to start with this wonderful passage. I'm going to read just a little snippet of it. And God said to Moses as follows, speak to the children of Israel and instruct them to bring me an offering, a truma. Truma is a word that means an offering. It's also related to the word to elevate, because you would go up on an altar, but it also elevates your character to give. Me'et kol ish asher yedvenu libo. It's a voluntary one. So give an offering. Sometimes you're required to do certain things, but here it's voluntary. Whatever each person's heart tells them to do, tikachu et trumati, and you shall take an offering. V'zot hatruma asher tikachu. Here's our wish list. Here's some of the things that we're going to need to build a tabernacle. Me'atem zahav v'chesed v'nechoshet. Some of you probably noticed those words. Zahav, like Yerushalayim shel zahav.
Gold.
Gold, very good. Kesef, it means money or silver. V'nechoshet is copper. Then there's a whole bunch of other things. V'techolet, v'agaman, v'toelet, shnei v'shesh, v'izim, v'arot, elim, v'admim, v'arot, hachashim, v'atzei shitim, shemen, lima'an, v'samim, l'shemen, hamsimcha, ulakatoret. There's a whole bunch of other things like different threads and different colors, beautiful turquoise and different types of onyxes and stones and precious oils, hasamim, avnei, shehem ba'avnei malachim, le'efod, uv'chashan. And so it's asking the Jewish people to bring all of these different things so they can construct the tabernacle. Now, when I was little, I used to watch Star Trek. It was actually my favorite show. Love Star Trek. There were certain things that didn't quite make sense. Like, why does Spock speak English? And how come he looks just like a human being, like, and all the aliens, they always look human. And some are really hot looking, the ones that Kirk usually finds on another planet. How did that happen? You have to suspend your belief for a little while, all right? You have to just imagine this could be true. That's how it is here. How did the Jewish people have all of these wonderful items, all these different threads and stones, and how did they construct this with 600,000 people traipsing through a desert? How did they do that? Just suspend your belief for a little bit, because there's a beautiful, beautiful lesson in it. And then it says, Va'asuli migdash v'shachanti b'tocham. You shall build or construct for me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell within it. The word I shall dwell, shachanti, is related to the word shechina, which is an essence or a presence or a feeling of godliness, and I shall dwell within it. Now, my friends, we have one of the greatest miracles that ever happened in the Torah. I told you the great miracle that happened in the passage last week when Moses actually listened to his father-in-law and accepted his advice. That was one of the greatest miracles in the Torah. The greatest person who ever lived in the Torah is getting advice from an Ethiopian or a Midianite priest. Okay, that's a pretty good miracle. But here we have one even greater. Moses asked the people to bring whatever they feel like bringing as a donation, and he has to tell them, Genug, bastante, it's enough, stop giving. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a synagogue having a fundraiser and they say, stop giving already, we got too much, we got more than we need. A miracle happens in the Torah, and it does show that when we act as a mosaic, not only in the Mosaic tradition of following after holy principles, but a mosaic in which all the Jews contribute, all of them come together as one, we can accomplish great things, and we'll have more than enough resources to do whatever we need. Not just material resources, but spiritual resources. There were not people who were giving for a Reformed synagogue or an Orthodox synagogue or a Reconstruction. They all brought their things together. A mosaic, not only following the Mosaic tradition, but what is a mosaic? It's you have all these different little precious jewels, and each one is very bright in its own way, and they all fit together. We have precious Jews, not just precious jewels, and each one of us is a gem. And when we all sparkle and bring out the best in each one of us and contribute, hey, there's no stopping what we're able to do. So this is a wonderful story about constructing a holy ark. I hate to tell you, some people think that this story is just rather archaic. They think it has nothing to do with today. But I'm here to tell you it's an archetype. It's an archetype of how we can achieve holiness. And the way we can achieve holiness is described in a linguistic quirk that Reb Zev was kind enough to point out to me very quietly. He said something very quietly because he thought perhaps I didn't quite appreciate the nuance. And I have to explain this to you. You gotta concentrate on this because it's a little complicated Hebrew. But God says, Asuli migdash v'shachanti b'tocham. Asuli migdash. Migdash is related to the word kodesh, kiddush, kaddish, means holiness. Asuli migdash, make for me a holy place, v'shachanti b'tocham. Shachante, as I mentioned, is related to the word shachina, and my essence will dwell within. It's usually translated within it. But it looks like there's a mistake, because within it would be b'tocho, that's the singular. But the Torah says b'tocham, which is the plural. But they're only constructing one sanctuary. But the Torah never makes a mistake. I believe that. It's inerrant. It's perfect. It was written by a divine, perfect being. There couldn't be an error in there. Except for a few things about wiping out people who believe the wrong way. But other than that, it's pretty perfect. Okay, just a few things. But here, there's another way of translating. Asuli mikdash. It's not Beit Mikdash, which is a temple. It's make me holy. V'shachanti b'tocham, and I will dwell within you. Within you, plural. What it's saying is that when we become holy, there's a divine essence, not in some building somewhere, within us. B'tocham, actually it's within them. It's a plural. And what this Torah is trying to tell us is the key to holiness. It seems like it's a building. Yes, a building can help us get there. Holiness, yes, a ritual can help us get there. Yes, going out into nature can get there. But some people go out in nature and they don't really get it. You have to allow this transformation to take place, to make your heart holy, and then a divine spirit can dwell within. And how does that happen? By giving. By giving of ourselves. Not by just thinking, what can I get? When you give yourself to a holy purpose, if the earth is in trouble and we go out and we try to protect the planet, if people are suffering and we try to help them, if somebody needs a hand, if the government is messed up, if the legal system is in shambles, if our community is bereft of guidance, if the Jewish people are all staying home, we can make ourselves holy and we can do something about it. We can achieve something wonderful. So the sanctuary, the greatest sanctuary of all, the holiest place of all is the human heart when it's been purified by love and the desire to do well. Now we have a competing force. Some people are out seeking God or holiness. Other people seek gold. It's a metaphor. Spirituality or money. The physical or spiritual truths. And my friends, as my father used to say, and we've already been risque enough, so I guess I can say this too. Between God and gold, there's an L of a difference. Those people who are out trying to find gold are going to be sadly disappointed because they'll never have enough. Remember King Midas? He said, I wish that everything I touched could become gold, and his wish came true. Everything he touched became gold, including the food which he couldn't eat, and his own daughter who turned into a statue. And he said, I was wrong, I sinned, I atoned, and he was blessed. And the daughter turned back and he learned a lesson. Don't just seek out gold. You know, in China, they have a philosophy called Taoism. The Tao means the way. It's the same thing as halacha means the way. And if there's an imbalance and impurity, it affects the Tao. Have we not seen that today, my friends? Impurity. A focus on in this country, and in some of the leaders of this country, a focus on gold and just seeking after money, which is not going to be helpful to us. David, King David, Moses, they were poor. Moses actually was wealthy, and he gave up his wealth in order to become someone who was able to relate to the people. Is money an evil thing?
No.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Money can be used to construct a synagogue. Money can be used to help our friends. Money can be used to support a family. It's only evil when it becomes your sole goal and you'll do anything for it. And it can be used for malicious purposes. That's when it becomes evil. Everything can be special. We're gathered here today because Shabbat across America believes that time can become sacred. A certain day reserved for holiness. A place can become sacred. And yes, we can also become sacred. Sacrifice means to make holy. And when we sacrifice some of what we have, we make ourselves holy. I want to finish with a little story about a person whose name is similar to our passage. We're reading Truma, but there was a president named Truman. Remember Truman? Truman was someone who was stubborn, and he did not want to recognize the state of Israel. But he had this old friend Eddie, who was a haberdasher and knew him from the old days. And he said to Truman, he says, I just want to ask you something. And he says, I'm the President of the United States. I don't really have time for personal favors, but I will listen to you, as long as you don't ask me about this topic that you keep bringing up, Israel. I'm not interested. And he says, won't you just meet with Weitzman? And he did. And when he did, his heart was changed. Holiness filled his heart, and he decided to recognize, finally, the state of Israel. And then Eddie devoted his whole life towards being an ambassador for Israel and gave everything he had. And at the end of his life, he said to his daughter Margaret, Margaret, I'm sorry, I've used up all my possessions, all my goods. I have nothing left to give you. And she said, you've given me the greatest legacy of all, the state of Israel. And we, my friends, have the greatest legacy. Not only a Jewish state, but a Jewish state of mind, which our prophets envisioned could fill us with holiness and a desire to be a holy people, and a people who could save this planet from itself, a people that would recognize that you can't just concentrate on the physical, that we must save and cherish every living thing, especially this wonderful planet. A legacy we have. And that legacy can be preserved and enhanced and confirmed every Shabbat. That's why we're here. Because if you only play tennis once a year, you're not going to be very good. If you try to learn a language and you just study it once a year, you're not going to be very good at it. If you want to become holy, you have to practice and do it all the time and make every moment count. I thank this congregation for allowing me the privilege, and I thank all of you for joining us on this wonderful Shabbat across America. May we be blessed, and may we be a blessing to others. Shabbat Shalom.
We've been traveling far for thousands of years, led by a six-pointed star. Free, now at last we are free to celebrate Shabbat with our family. Everywhere in every shul, Shabbat across America, in search of our souls renewal. Shabbat's coming to America. Oh, now becomes a sacred place as our families we embrace. Sabbath lights burning warm, from Orthodox to Reform. Our prophets' dreams don't seem so far away as we envision a brand new day where all conflict will cease and the world is at peace. Synagogues across the land, Shabbat's coming to America, a time to learn and understand. Shabbat across America, got a dream we've come to share. Shabbat across America, of a world that's just and fair. Shabbat across America, Shabbat across America, Shabbat across America, Shabbat across America, Shabbat across America today. 2, 3, to play, to sing. Our prophets speak to me sweet words of harmony, of peace I sing. Our love we bring today. Tova, Tova, Torah.